And welcome to the AEW Dynamite review. We are the Dadley Boyz of What Culture. I'm Adam Wilborn, joined by Michael Hamflett and Michael Sidgwick, here to review everything that happened on last night's episode of AEW Dynamite. But before we get into it, if you're a fan of this sort of thing, make sure you subscribe to WhatCulture Wrestling on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, and YouTube. We review daily wrestling podcasts where we not only review AEW Dynamite, but also AEW Collision, Raw, SmackDown, the show formerly known as NXT 2.0. Pay-per-views, premium live events. We have interviews, roundtable discussions, and a random of the week complete with a bloody good quiz, of course, on WrestleCulture. As I said, though, joined by Hamflett and Sidgwick to review last night's AEW Dynamite. Michael Sidgwick, did last night's Dynamite bring the boom for you?
Not quite. Not quite, if I'm being honest, and I'm fated to do so. It's ironic that AEW is using November Rain as the video package for Full Gear. Because in that song, Axl Rose sings, "Nothing lasts forever, even cold November rain." And yet, some brief seminal peaks aside, AEW has been in an irreversible tailspin since Brawl Out. So some things do last forever, and it's AEW's tailspin. And before we, start, I am not blaming CM Punk for normalizing Bobby Lashley. As an example, I am saying that the plot has been kind of lost for a long time, maybe longer than the peak, and it's getting increasingly sad.
Sidge, I love listening to your insights. I really, really do. But I almost couldn't listen there because I couldn't help but look, right? I'm no stranger to a cool Bloodline t-shirt. I like yours. That says "We the Ones," doesn't it? Is that a Bloodline shirt?
No, it doesn't say "We the Ones," actually.
Ah.
Okay, can you read?
Oh, hang on. Sorry,
read much?
Now I can see properly. It says "We are one." Where'd you get that?
I've got my ways.
Can you hook me up, mate?
I can maybe hook you up, and maybe I can hook somebody else up as well.
But yes, a big week of celebration here. Thank you to everyone who supported us over the past year or so on the WhatCulture Wrestling podcast YouTube channel. We've done some live streams earlier on this week, watching the best of Full Gear and some of the worst of, wrestling yesterday. Later on today, the best of the Collision card.
You have the right to watch that on YouTube, sir.
And a Get the Table for 3
Pull over.
Coming your way on Friday, as well as some more surprises to come soon as well. But yes, Hamflett, your thoughts on AEW Dynamite?
Just bleak. Again, just really bleak. I get no joy in... never been much of a ranter on these podcasts, I don't think. It's not the sort of stuff I would typically listen to. I'm not as articulate as my esteemed colleague here. And I just don't... you see a lot of comparisons about, when a product's rubbish. You see comparisons to other rubbish periods, and AEW get the odd... I don't know, and they're all slightly wrong. You can see what they're getting at. But 2019 WWE, it's that's the worst wrestling there ever was. It was worse than 2000 WCW, which was also the worst wrestling there ever was, no matter how much everybody says. It's pretty fun. It's also awful.
Yeah.
Right. For me, and this is just a personal lived-in experience of what it feels like to watch the show, not like a like-for-like comparison of the booking or the wrestlers or anything like that. This week, I was just hitting 2021 CWC NXT. It was just sad. I didn't want it. Really early into the show, probably at some point during the multi-man match, which was just not really agented, hitting the all the dramatic beats. The work was, of course, was good, but a failure to hit the dramatic beats just had me being yep, there they go, there they all go, all 8 of them. God bless them.
Little blighters.
Yeah, hair ruffling this 8-man. You're oh no, that's a bad start. And then we'll go on to it, but just the atmosphere, which we can kind of pick up more weeks than we don't now, realistically, that you get in these buildings, and the fingers crossed for the Hammerstein weeks and the fingers crossed for the C2 and all the rest of it. I'm left in a thought spiral thinking, how many singles matches have they promoted on pay-per-view ahead of time for Kazuchika Okada, let alone the times when he's potentially shown up as a surprise because there's been nothing for him. And he's one example, there's millions. But it was just this feeling I had of and I've got to come back next week. And that's not me complaining about the privilege of this amazing job. It's the want to like what I'm watching, and it's the want to feel something from what I'm watching. That sense of next early hours Wednesday morning, I've got to come back this weekend. I've got to come back to this full gear card, which will over-deliver in-ring wise. Pay-per-views.
Will it?
Broadly the safe bet.
We're going to get to that later in the week. More misery, guys.
crowd's a bit bigger. The matches do deliver, that kind of thing. There's always stuff to take.
It's not going to be bad.
Always stuff positive to take away from an AEW pay-per-view, but then like Wednesday will arrive and it's the worst. It is the worst feeling I get currently, is to just like to have that feeling from ever. Like I don't really want to like live in this world for a couple of hours, and it's just then it infects the things that you like. It would be bad faith to come on these podcasts and say it's all bad. It's obviously not all bad. It's obviously not.
There's something on this that I really truly enjoyed.
Yeah, well, it's obviously not 2019 WWE or 2000 WCW, or pick your least favorite, and it's certainly not 2021 NXT either. But maybe it's because we watched One Final Beat yesterday and all that. So I was just like, oh, this is when I'm at my absolute saddest. It's like, do I have to? And AEW's given me that at the moment. And, like, not to extend this out into the usual state of, but that's where you talk why business metrics matter. No, we're not asked if billionaires get richer or anything like that. It is about engagement, and it is about financial investment is related to emotional investment, and it does come through the TV, or doesn't, as is the case with AEW at the moment. And we're in that. Like, we're long past the point where you can say, well, I don't actually care if billionaires get rich. I just want to like my wrestling show. The two things are connected. They are.
Yeah.
And that's what we're seeing.
Should we get into it? I think that was the best way of dissecting all this.
Yeah.
The show opened with the 8-man you mentioned there. It was the Don Callis family, Konosuke Takeshita, Lance Archer, Brian Cage, and Carl Fletcher versus Ricochet, Will Ospreay, Powerhouse Hobbs, and Mark Davis. Nice to see Mark Davis back in the ring for the first time in over a year since Wrestle Dream last year, of course. No messing about the babyfaces rush up the ramp to brawl with the heel family early. Chaos around ringside. We eventually get into the ring with Takeshita and Davis. Davis sent Takeshita outside, and Ricochet did a big dive onto him. At one point, Hobbs is stalking Kyle Fletcher, but Archer makes the save and traps Hobbs' leg between the steps. Cage sends Ospreay into them, and Hobbs has to be taken to the back to be checked on. Ricochet countered an Archer chokeslam into a Hurricane Rana, but Archer got back up and cleaned house, chokeslamming Ricochet over the top onto a big pile of people to take us to a break. When we come back in, Ospreay and Fletcher are coming in, going at it. Fletcher bails. Takeshita gets in there. The impressive tag team of Cage and Archer, as commentary put them over. Clean house. Takeshita hits a blue thunderbomb on Ospreay. Kicks out at 2. The crowd really behind Will Ospreay, of course. Fletcher comes in, though, and everyone's down. And the babyfaces look like they're in real trouble. But out limps Powerhouse Hobbs. Fletcher tries to cut him off, but eats a clothesline. Ospreay makes the tag to Hobbs. He runs wild on one leg, basically, hitting corner splashes to everybody. He lowers the straps, hits a snap power slam on Archer. Davis comes in, hits some big boots and a big right hand on Takeshita. He dodges the power drive knee and hit a gut wrench pile driver for 2. But Fletcher breaks it up, and then there's the moment between the two of them. He slaps Mark Davis in the face. Takeshita gets involved. Everyone flies in. It's down to Ospreay and Fletcher going back and forth with some amazing counters as they can do, those two. Ospreay hit a standing Spanish fly, but Fletcher pulls Mark Davis into the way of the hidden blade, takes out a pile on the outside, and Takeshita lowers the knee pad and hits Davis with the power drive knee to give the heels the victory.
Yeah, I've seen some split sentiment on this episode of AEW, and I think this match encapsulates it in that you can't find any significant fault with it. Hobbs was kind of protected. I thought it was a bit of a weird choice to give him an injury, realistically, but the idea that he's this big sort of returning star who is on the losing end in his second match, they've given him an out.
Yes.
I thought Fletcher and Ospreay's stuff looked magnificent.
Yeah.
Very brief, but that's the point. You could say that they did the right things in the right order. They kept the suspense for that interaction. That interaction was just brief enough to make you think this is going to be awesome at the pay-per-view, which is precisely why a match like this exists. And you got the finish that put into doubt, can the babyfaces prevail in the respective matches to either come on Saturday or to come in the future? Maybe Ricochet, Takeshita gets announced over the coming days, we shall see. And, the crowd did kind of come up a little bit for the Ospreay, Fletcher stuff. So if you are of a certain disposition where you just want AEW to succeed, you don't want to put the boots to it, and you enjoyed this, you're more than welcome to enjoy anything you bloody like as long as it's legal and it doesn't hurt anybody. That's fine, you can go with it. If you veer towards where I am, where only the best is good enough, considering that only AEW really has the resources to be the runaway best promotion in the world, this wasn't good enough for me. Wasn't good enough. This was a can't fail 8-man with this floor of incredibly exciting. You can add texture to it. You can really just go hog wild at the end. These things can be like almost religious experiences when they're done perfectly well. This wasn't that. I just thought it was good, if a bit flat, if a bit quiet. And I think there was a great deal of thought put into it. There was no real pulse, no real muscle, no sense of, Jesus Christ, I really hope they don't get to the finish. I hope they don't get to the finish. It's almost like all good things must come to an end when you watch the best version of this genre of like, oh God, they're getting to the finish. What a shame.
People booing the Young Bucks matches, you remember you telling me.
No, it was the template for the best version of this match is they invented the "Please Don't Stop" chant.
Yeah, that's it.
For that ROH Dragon Gate 2006er.
Is that the Do Fixer one?
Do Fixer, Blood Generation. I mean, it's just out of this world. You're meant to like get resigned to the idea that, oh God, all this brilliance is going to come to an end. This didn't approach that feeling, that sentiment, that energy. It was fine. It was fine. You can't really complain about it. Is that what I want from Where the Best Wrestle? Is that what I want from a promotion that, well, half the time it says it's rubbish and needs saving, but the other half of the time they say that they've saved wrestling and we should all be grateful for it. I just thought it was fine. This should have been better.
Agree, yeah. This was where like the show, like so early on, this was probably my favourite thing on the show, and that's how low the bar was, and it kind of failed the vibe check as well. I wanted to be a bit more specific here because
this is an open goal. You've got to be scoring these.
Yeah.
Got to be taking those chances.
I wanted to be specific here because I do worry sometimes that like I've got like 2 or 3 like singular takes that I can apply to most matches, which is just sort of stuff like, well, I want to see the wrestlers behave as they would behave. I don't want to see this like copy and paste style supplanted on people that don't necessarily need to do it. For example, I'd rather see, I always go back to Christian Cage and Jack Perry's coffin match. Watch that. Like, watch that tape.
Yeah.
Christian barely does an offensive move. He's on defense the whole time. He's constantly cheating.
He's a little rat because his character and his face is that of a little rat.
You can do that in 100% of the matches because every character has traits.
Yes.
The proper ones do. I'm not saying, but you get my point. This didn't even, it didn't even feel like it was attempting to sort of have the Callis family stop that Ospreay-Fletcher interaction at all costs because they should want to. Have them exploit the numbers game that they created for themselves as heels should try and do the dirty way. You made a great point about where's the celebratory cheating? Where's the cheating for the love of the goddamn game? Yeah. This was so stripped of character traits and so stripped of personality until they had what were very clearly the 2-3 100-foot high beats that they actually wanted to focus on. It didn't, Mark Davis had an okay night, but this guy, they could have done so much with it. This was this great big flashing target with which they could have done more with it and didn't.
Kill him.
Yeah, a group of
Kill
heels.
him, but build him at the same time.
Yeah, a group of heels, dominating and taking advantage and just fiendishly cackling because, Hobbs is down. We've cracked this.
Yeah.
We'll coast our way to victory by being bastards. What he's it kind of failed at doing all the things that it seemingly on paper just existed to do. And for exchanges of moves for a bit.
Yeah.
Which is a bit of a sickness of TV wrestling at the best of times. But it's, you said it at the start of your review of it. It kind of almost becomes criticism proof in certain points. And then here we are criticising it. But it's because the work is polished and the work is well executed and there are flashes. But just everything is falling short of its potential, and this is no different.
This is no different. And I'll say there's a wider discussion to be had. I tweeted about this the other week. The mega fans hopefully will forgive me for repeating this on the podcast of AEW strives to be the for everyone promotion, and in doing so often becomes and increasingly becomes the for nobody promotion. These finishes, this was a clean finish, and that's absolutely fine. But the lack of just total glee at the idea of being a dickhead is absent in AEW because, theoretically, because they once opposed WWE, which went stupid with its corny finishes in 2019. And the idea was, well, we'll just do it cleaner here. We'll do a more sports-oriented focus. But then increasingly, you miss the point of, well, an American audience kind of wants a lot of cheating. And you can only, I mean, maybe they've even hammered this sort of competitive banger too much. We've argued that certainly in the past. And then you get these sort of, it's almost mindless, a mindless exchange of moves. And the more these words come out of my mouth, I'm just bristle at the idea of being conflated with a bad faith podcaster. But, the broken clock is right twice a day. Like, just so much of it is moves. You forget character, really. And then half the time there's like a crap finish tacked on the end. If you want US traditional pro wrestling, or if you want competitive sports-oriented wrestling, you're either upset with the body of the match or half the finishes. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. The two... Just
put it this way,
specify those two genres there.
Put it this way, right? So you've got, like... This wasn't necessarily the case in this match, but there's so little to go on in the matches on this show that I'm going to make a point here. So you've got... I should have mentioned this during Takeshita Cole. So Takeshita Cole is basically a shootout, back and forth. They're hitting each other with their moves. They're countering each other's moves. The ratio of offense is probably 50-50, or it feels like it, even if it isn't. And then at the end, despite not really feeling that, oh, he's a prick, he's not as good technically as the babyface, which is the traditional US style broadly, I'm going to cut him off. I'm enjoying being a dickhead, actually. You don't really get any of that. And then at the end of Takeshita Cole, gets a diamond ring, punches him, and that's the finish, right? Who does that appeal to? If you are a WWE raised fan who kind of likes proper heat structures, baddies versus goodies, the simple United States stuff, you're not going to like what you perceive to be no selling or not enough selling or a lack of story. Even if it is a story, it's just not their version of a story, right? You're not going to like the body of the match. If you are someone like a Voices of Wrestling contributor, fan, it's just an easy shorthand for hipster. You just like good matches. There's nothing wrong with that. I veer towards that more than anything else. You can hate the finishes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's what, I was just going to say, the two genres you've just described, WWE provides so much of one, and like alternative indies or real graps focused heavy stuff provides the other.
Yeah.
And AEW is doing a kind of inferior job of both.
Yes.
Yeah. That would be like, this match, a lot of matches make it clear. Like, you hit on Cole and Takeshita as an example there, it's just too easy to lift it and just place it somewhere else, isn't it? And it makes it forgettable, and you stop tracking this, you stop thinking about, we all say this about Punk and Kenny. When you were talking there, I was thinking about Punk and Hangman, like Punk and the Elite just had so much more in common than they ever would have realised.
Yeah.
Hangman Page doesn't allow his matches to go like that, just as CM Punk doesn't allow his matches to go like that. It's why we raved over Hangman Page and Jay White, and probably will again on Monday.
Hangman Page, Jeff Jarrett.
Yeah, like
The first one.
Not the strap match, but like
he enjoyed half killing Jeff Jarrett, like gleefully in character.
Nothing can be like, everything can't be the best version of itself, but all of wrestling, I really don't want to do the old guys, back and mad. Like, almost every single match worked, like, aspired to that same fundamental goal. It's like, well, who are you? What do you do? Right, well, this is what I do, this is what you do. I'm the bad guy, you're the good guy, whatever. Well, that's how we're going to connect here, and then the match. And that...
It doesn't have to be like that. WWE's got that nailed down. They've got the monopoly.
Yeah.
If you go into the Bloodline stuff, which is a proper traditional heat structure sort of match done incredibly well, because Roman Reigns paces them brilliantly, more often than not.
Yeah.
And the cheating, if you don't like it, you don't like it. A lot of people do look at it. Go in the other direction.
Yeah. It was, and this was one of the better things on this show.
Yeah, I enjoyed the match, but like you say, when you lay it out like that, it really is blindingly obvious why I enjoyed that, maybe not as much as I was anticipating it when we were previewing it. Anyway, we go backstage following that. John Moxley's there with the Death Riders, calls Orange Cassidy a snake, says his job Saturday is to eliminate Cassidy. He's a threat to his people. He'll be destroyed. There's so much more going on behind Cassidy's eyes. He might make it to Full Gear with his mind intact, but he can't say the same about his body. Claudio speaks in Swiss. which for a split second, because I was a bit half asleep, I was like, what's he saying? Oh, he's talking a different language. That makes more sense. And then to English, he says he's going to destroy Darby Allin, and Darby Allin's backstage after that, walking in saying, all of the Death Riders will have their day tonight. Is Claudio's.
Here's something, right? Are the Death Riders a little bit House of Black pilled? And I'm going to elaborate in that Jon Moxley is talking so cryptically that, quite frankly, half the time, I'm not entirely certain what he's getting at. I get way more gist from Mox than I do Malachi Black. But put it this way, Jon Moxley's early verbiage and how he sort of parsed it out early made a lot of people reasonably conclude, all right, Shane McMahon's a higher power.
Yes.
Or that there was some kind of puppet master in play. It wasn't. He just wasn't really saying anything that connected to much else. Now, and I think they told this story, but I don't think they did a good job of it really between this segment and the main event. Does he want to corrupt Orange Cassidy?
I don't know.
Does he want to corrupt him?
This was E-Feddy without before messaging somebody to double check what they're going to respond with, because it did not feel like they were in the same storylines. I was thinking a lot this episode about the November Rain video, and the sound bites of Orange Cassidy were totally rooted in, I'm not up to leading this charge and facing them down. All right, I am, and I'll give it a go. And that's about the gist of it.
Yeah.
And Moxley's words here didn't speak to that. And as a result, Orange Cassidy was wrestling with the psychology of those words and that element of the story of kind of like an unfashionable and slightly reluctant leader that is ultimately brave and bold and virtuous enough to try and do the right thing. Moxley's words didn't bounce off that.
I preferred it when we were previewing it yesterday, and you were saying he's going to try and get Orange Cassidy to fight with too much emotion, because that's what often costs people in real fights and things like that. Your emotions get the better of you, and that's what's going to cost him, because at the end of the day, the overarching goal for Mox is power of all of AEW, and that's what they're fighting for, effectively, with this world title. And then it was this, and I was so just baffled by it.
We're back to where I don't want us to be hypocrites. We were absolutely complaining when the front line looked daft, right? That wasn't working, so they definitely pivoted away from that to just a traditional stable of heels, slightly megalomaniacal.
You've hospitalised my best mate. Yeah. I need to get revenge. I need to find myself. I need to find my bollocks now.
Yeah, that was for better and worse, because
it's a personal issue.
Yeah, a personal issue.
It's not drawing money, but it's a personal issue.
Better than sort of having to stop the entire roster in the tracks, at least. However, we are a little bit back to that point of Moxley's talking in riddles doesn't make clear what it is that he's aiming to do, or the bigger picture. So it's like, well, let's say
the creative of AEW.
Yeah,
he should be feuding with Tony Khan, not Orange Cassidy.
Cassidy,
that's fundamentally the disconnect here.
If Orange Cassidy wrestles well, as he did in this main event, then by the law of if Jon Moxley's got a character Bible, that should be him going, nice one, I fixed you. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's still too grey. I don't want to be I really don't want to be like, oh, I'm too stupid to understand your complex stories, John. I don't think they have thought through how to really sensibly apply this to A to B to C storytelling with a payoff and with matches to build to and stuff. I think
it's because he's in a grump with AEW Creative, and they've tried to sort of integrate that into his character and his character's motivation and this big overarching vision for AEW, which the more he talks in, when does this reset start? When does it get good again? When does it get to be whatever Jon Moxley wants it to be? Because A, I'm unclear on that, and B, there's still a lot of sports entertainment contrived bollocks on this show. That just happens uneasily alongside what I'm not sure Moxley's doing.
The AEW's always had both a problem and then occasionally amazing. If you look at being the elite, and the company exists because it was able to blend fiction and reality in the internet to combine this wonderful thing. But it's as a result since then always had a problem sort of squaring that circle with what people know and what they don't. And Moxley said something in an interview yesterday, a shoot interview, a real interview, where he was talking about how the question was something like,
never 100% shoot, just to be clear.
Sorry, an interview that was, for all intents and purposes, just him talking about. Yeah. He was asked about Marina Shafir and why he's sort of working with her, and he basically just massively put her over. Says for the last 2 years, the way she's worked it, and obviously they've got quite a close relationship. And he says something like nobody's worked harder in wrestling to improve, certainly not in AEW, than Marina Shafir. Now, that obviously could be taken a little bit in character, that he's saying nobody on the roster's up to it. But it made me think that, well, that's not true, is it, of some of these wrestlers? So if you've lined up, say, for example, as opponents, in real life this is, Cassidy, Daniel Garcia, and Darby Allin. There'll be others, but let's just take those three. Jon Moxley, the real person, has probably done that because he wanted to reward them, help them. He sees them as wanting to work as hard for this company as he does. So it's like, right, we're going to work together. You're going to be the ones that are going to work against my group because I like you and respect you and stuff. It's quite hard then to make that work in kayfabe because what you're seeing is hard-working wrestlers doing their best. Darby Allin is a guy that lives up to every single kayfabe standard Jon Moxley sets. Because of that, he is his rival on screen.
Yeah.
Do you know, it's...
Yeah, no, I don't like it. I haven't liked it
muddy.
I haven't liked it since the plastic bag came off Danielson's head.
Excalibur tells us the Continental Classic is kicking off next week, although we don't know anyone, I think, other than obviously Kazuchika Okada being involved in it. And then Renee Paquette is out in the parking lot. The Hurt Syndicate arrive. MVP announces that Lashley is going to compete in his first match tonight.
Sorry, can I just interrupt because I will forget this?
Yes.
They'd already just flashed it on the lower left-hand corner of the screen. Bobby Lashley, 2-on-1 handicap match. And then you find out, well, you, air quotes, find out from MVP that this is happening. MVP phrased it as if this is the first anyone had ever heard of it.
Just where we have to do the thing where we like speculate on shoot stuff and just be like, well, maybe they just wanted it. You know, maybe like Lashley fancied the Lucha.
Honestly, they jumped the gun on the announcement.
Oh, yeah, I thought you just meant in terms of just announcing it late rather than...
I've got problems with the actual match and all the rest of it, in addition to the fact that the left hand didn't seem to know what the right hand was doing.
And as they make this announcement and they get out of the car, in flies Swerve Strickland, nails Lashley with a chain-wrapped punch and bails before MVP and Shelton can do anything about it.
Right. God, I genuinely don't like being miserable. I get into two wonderful flow states, personally, when I enjoy my work the most. When I'm praising AEW, when it's amazing, or when just something deserves to get absolutely buried and I can get into a scathing rant. I just don't like being miserable. I mean, I am fundamentally, but...
There'll be some grief in the comments today. We don't like this any more than you do.
I can tell you from the depths of my heart, I don't want to ever be confused with a grifter. I don't ever want to grift. I don't get any joy whatsoever from literally getting up at 4:30 in the morning to get bored by a TV show that I hold to a high standard, articulating my boredom, which isn't engaging audio, and then doing it again week after week after week. I don't know how the grifters do it. I just wish this was good, and quite frankly, it isn't that good, and this is an example of it not being that good. You could probably make the argument, I certainly don't subscribe to it, that Swerve Strickland isn't your model babyface. He isn't your proper archetype of a babyface. He's always had that heel edge. Look at what he did to get over, to get to that spot in the first place. You could therefore, if you're Tony Khan or Swerve and you're collaborating, say, we've got a degree of artistic license in how to portray this character. Let's use it. I still don't think this is a necessarily good version of that. He just looked a little bit like a bitch. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He just looked a little bit like a bit of a scamp. You know, I just didn't... I didn't buy it from Swerve, even though he can do more than... And it's good character work that he's given himself this space in which to just be a bit different and to, you know, experiment with his approach. This just didn't work for me at all. I just thought he looked a little bit like a bitch. I'd rather he got his ass kicked. I'd rather he had the Cassidy thing later. You know what I mean?
Do you think it's one of them ones that like looks better on paper than then you don't necessarily know visually how it looks until you...
Has a babyface ever done this sort of thing? And it worked. MJF last year played with the idea of the self-aware babyface of, I'm going to run away in the crowd. I'm not going to get beat up by the entire bang gang.
Yeah.
Because I'm a little... That still, even when you hang the lantern on it, that still didn't work for me.
Aye.
It never works. So why do it?
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair. Bobby Lashley.
I'm saying though, has it ever worked? And I'm putting you on the spot.
What, like actively running into the crowd /
just a baby
running
face
away?
Just kind of running away.
Yeah, not really. No. Austin was canny with a chop block, but like when it was the Hearts, but he was dealing with a massive numerical disadvantage.
And
his whole vibe was, I don't trust anybody.
Yes. Yeah.
So I'll strike when I can, and then, I'll move and fire.
Even then,
you're talking about Steve Austin, he was kind of reshaping how US TV wrestling looked while he was doing it. So.
And he was still kind of in that transitional period.
Yeah. I don't want your friends. I don't want your cheers.
Yeah.
I want to attack these guys. It's Bobby Lashley looked amazing.
Yeah.
I want to say something nice. The man knows how to wear a suit, doesn't he? Jesus Christ.
More on this later on. Next up, though, it's time for the boom. Not that one. Adam Cole. The better one.
He just wants to say it as often as possible.
Boo! We got in the boom on the news. Boom!
I'm always giving Barrett when I do it.
Boom.
Instead of that, it's the different boom. It's time for Adam Cole, baby.
That's how he says it.
Adam Cole comes down to the ring saying MJF succeeded in doing everything in his power to keep Adam Cole from getting his match at Full Gear, but one person that was successful is Roderick Strong. He's going to kick MJF's ass on Saturday. But here comes cool Kyle O'Reilly, who talks about
there's 2021 NXT.
Second match 14 years ago in Reading. He said, I've been associated with you throughout my career. Has had some serious highs and serious lows, but I'm the only one who can tell you the truth. The obsession with MJF needs to stop. Friends are willing to take bullets for you, me included, but I don't have a good feeling about Strong, who almost didn't make it out last week. I think he could get hurt against MJF. He said, what makes you think that MJF isn't 3 steps ahead of you? You need to realize why so many people are willing to go to war for you, because you're a leader and a friend who doesn't want to see others get hurt. That's what he hopes, at least. MJF is more of an evil bastard than Cole will ever be, and that's a good thing. And O'Reilly left the ring as Cole just stood there thinking about what was just been said.
I'm going to say one nice thing about all of the mess. That is Kyle O'Reilly, MJF, Roderick Strong, Adam Cole. It's a complete mess. We've talked about it at length about it being this mess that you simply cannot clean. I'm going to say one nice thing about it, right? The one nice thing about last night's show was that there was a concerted effort to present Adam Cole as and it's so bare minimum, I know this, a concerted effort to portray Adam Cole as a pretty good guy and MJF as a piece of garbage trash. Yes. I liked how Kyle O'Reilly basically put over Adam Cole, the devil.
That's what I was going to say.
I know, at least is a nice blow. And I think, people have, because he's such a nice bloke, that's why people sided with him all these years. And I thought that was just a nice detail. I'll get to the problems with the other stuff later on. There was one thing I liked about the other thing later on, but we'll get to that. I fundamentally do not give a toss about Undisputed Era nostalgia. Quite clearly, nobody in these arenas do at all.
And I mean, folks, where's the lie?
Good.
And moreover, just because of where these characters have been, despite the clear attempt, I do not believe anything any of them says. Do you know? Because I can't.
Master Plan understates what Adam Cole did to MJF.
And overstates it.
Lift every bit of his personality out to make him give more of himself away than he ever has done. And then destroy him and break him forever.
Yeah.
He was
good guy, Adam Cole.
The devil. It's part of the mess, really. It's part of the mess. It's part of the mess, but it's just a funny bit that when you're trying to do
in my headcanon, for whatever reason, I've hated that MJF. I'm going to destroy him. See, I've done to you. Anyway, he's watched that promo that MJF cut on CM Punk where he showed that bit of vulnerability. And that was the first time I was like, can this guy be redeemed underneath everything? Adam Cole spotted that weakness, sought to exploit it, and the way he exploited it was by saying, Roddy, if we film these dumb skits where we spread stuff on toast really slowly and go and do YouTube faces for whatever reason.
Slow-mo, yeah.
All that slow-mo stuff, we can convince MJF that we're not actually friends and that Roderick Strong annoys me. So this master plan to destroy you. It's not very devilish, is it? Let's pretend that you make my coffee too hot and I find you annoying. But that'll throw him off. That'll throw him off the scent. Not very satanic. It's not really the army of darkness. But either way, we'll destroy him. We'll destroy him. And I'll get injured and come back as the baby face of the story.
Yeah, I took
Such
my
a
licks.
mess.
It's a total mess. They can't fix it. And when anyone talks about the mess, can't really get on board with it. I thought they did a better and worse job of this later on.
Yeah. I just, very little interest in this. And it's not, if it was hot in the buildings, you could be like, well, fair enough. It's a me thing. But I have an element of interest in Undisputed Era nostalgia, and it's over there. Like, there is probably a place.
You want everyone to go to the Fed.
I mean, I want these to go to the Fed. I want Adam Cole back in the Fed. Like, just start again. Just absolutely start again. Triple H wanted.
Rip it. We don't sit a mashup there.
Like, Triple H should at least give it a go. Clearly wanted to way back when. This is.
What did he just say?
Did like just he would
wanted to have a
Triple
go.
H wanted to. I would have wanted to go further with Adam Cole. Committed to, and but this dead. Like, it's rubbish.
More on this later on again.
I'm stuck with it now. Like, this Roddy Strong thing, it's like just a chapter. There's so much more to do.
To World's End, you said, didn't you? Orange Cassidy's backstage. Says he's going to make an example out of Wheeler Yuta and then do the same thing to Mox on Saturday, but he wants to do it alone. A conglomeration walks in, says, we got you back. He gets real serious and shouts at him. Makes them promise they'll stay away. He said to Mox, go ahead and do what you want to do tonight, because come full gear, you'll need all the help you can get.
I mean, he sounds pretty jagged, fired up, strong-willed, and good at wrestling. What's your problem with him, John?
Suddenly, main event of Full Gear, John Moxley.
Hey. You all right?
Lies down for him. Right. Sorry. Whoa. I got confused by my notes there. It appears to be a women's match in the first hour.
What?
I mean, don't worry, it's the only women's match on this show. It was Chris Statlander versus Hikaru Shida. Good back and forth, obviously. Between
They had me in the first hour.
Start off. Shida hit a running knee lift on the edge of the ring to take us to a break. When we come back, Statlander hit some corner knee strikes, a spinning sit-out fisherman's buster for a 2 count. Shida fought out of Wednesday Night Fever, though. Statlander no-sells some forearms, but the wrist clutch schoolboy gets a 2 count for Shida. She holds onto that and hits a pump knee as well. There's a Falcon Arrow for a 2, a release German suplex. Shida wanted the katana, but Statlander counted into Wednesday Night Fever for the victory. I am stopping there because there is a very distinct match and post-match we have to talk about.
How to approach this. Decent back and forth template, the execution of which, bit flimsy. Mm-hmm. You could hear a rat piss on cotton.
Yeah.
The thing is, with the storyline playing out as it has, the story, I hate myself. You don't have to hate me. I already hate myself by saying the story. I'm not sounding like Bruce Pritchard. No one ever wants to sound like Bruce Pritchard.
Not even Tom Pritchard.
But this story between Mercedes Money and Chris Statlander has proven to be so farcical and so terribly executed, with vehicular homicide and fake walls and all this, just sub-Attitude Era, sub-TNA, sub-WCW, sub-everything you ever hated, when en route to becoming disillusioned with cable television wrestling, has just been manifest in this storyline. That when Chris Statlander gets in the ring, people are like, don't care. And this is
Statlander.
Yeah, you have to do a pretty good job to get her not over, but that's where we are right now. Again, this felt like, this is probably hyperbolic, this expression I've been playing with, but Death of a Dream stuff. You get like ostensible original. Statlander came in a mere months later, but Shida, day one, Statlander, day 2, for all intents and purposes, doing a match that I've seen more or less move for move or beat for beat every week for 5 years, sometimes twice, playing out to library silence. Just these wrestlers who I had bonds with a couple of years ago. I felt sad watching this.
And waiting for the post-match because they know it's coming. And still
Which is itself a problem.
And still not even...
Yeah, this match wasn't very good, but it was slapdash booking on its own terms as well. Just to pick on that. Because they were talking a bit about, reminding you, I guess, that the katana that Shida did on Mercedes sucked ass, and it's why like she's kind of not necessarily backing herself. Which tried to feed into it.
It got the lightest Holy Shida chant you've ever heard.
Yeah, didn't really make the difference, but that on paper, fine. Shida wanted.
Remember the Shidas run to All In last year? It was pretty good.
It was a nice thing to do. It was the right thing to do, wasn't it? To strap her up to give her the stadium because she'd done so much to earn it. When
they're making the fall part of the documentary, which was 2023, feel hot. It's not good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's Statlander is there's you can tie directly what we've seen in the last few weeks and the babyface turn, all of this, to why she's not getting these reactions anymore. But there's within this match, there's AEW's problems writ large. Shida wanted a shot at Statlander if and when she wins the TBS title. So Shida as a character is saying, I'd like the TBS title. Fine. Statlander's better idea. Let's have a match. And they do. And Shida's lost. So now she's nowhere near anything.
Yeah.
So that's whatever you might have invested in Shida from your historic love of AEW or your...
I could always plug her back in.
Deep-rooted
I mean,
connection.
after this many years, I wouldn't.
Yeah, well, it's a deep-rooted connection to the character. It sort of erodes away a bit more in a match like this. And
that's gone.
yeah.
You used to be able to plug Shida in. All things must come to an end. This idea that AEW has to use everyone that was once over. You need to be more ruthless. I just wouldn't. Personally, people will hate me for that. People still like Shida. How many of you are really out there?
Yeah.
And how much should you be considered?
Oh, yeah, I'm not having that fight. I just, it's not,
not you.
Yeah, no, it's not particularly good character development is what I'm saying. You see that everywhere.
Absolutely blows.
You see that absolutely everywhere, and it's a roster full of people that people don't care
It's
about.
just a lot of member
see.
berries stuff.
Yeah.
That, I don't know, it's almost just feels so lazy.
They shake hands post-match, and here comes the TBS champion, Mercedes.
Money.
Flanked by Camille, of course, with her arm
Hit her with a broken arm.
with an arm in a sling.
Useless.
Monet says, the Sixers are crap and the Boston Celtics are the best. And then talks about holding the TBS title longer than Chris Statlander. Says she's the greatest TBS champion of all time. She'll never lose the title. The shut the F up chant's coming. So Mercedes orders Camille to go after Statlander. And she sort of goes, all right. Eventually goes in, steps in between Statlander and Shida and gets her ass handed to her. They send her to the outside. Shida goes after her. Monet tries to hit Statlander with a backstabber, but Statlander doesn't move and gets money up for a Wednesday Night Fever to stand tall with a TBS title.
Poor.
Real bad.
Real bad. Cheap heat. The desperate strain of cheap heat. Mercedes Moné is in the worst. She could have a good match with Chris Statlander. She could. I don't think that'll fix the rot. She is in the absolute worst place a pro wrestler could ever find themselves in, and that is were they ever good?
Oh, yeah. This run is a story of this year, this bad run. It's one of the 2024 wrestling stories, unfortunately.
Yeah. I mean, big business felt like the turnaround.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was Wardlow, Joe notwithstanding. An excellent show with some great detail with 8,000 people in. They've just brought back the tunnels and the rankings for a week. To go from that to this, it's I don't trust anything you say anymore. I do not trust anything you say or do anymore.
But as I said, that was the only women's match on the card, which means we need to get to the name of the game before that. We have to get to the aim of the game. Sige?
The aim of the game is to identify to the hour, minute, and second the first time you hear the first note for the first entrance theme for the first woman to come out for the only women's match on Dynamite. Usually it's in a certain slot. Wasn't this week. The point pretty much still stands because you think, hang on, there's a pattern here. And if we can just nail it, we can put in bold, underscore, and italicize the big problem that we perceive anyway. I think what's going on here, as I've said for several years now, is that AEW doesn't treat the women's division as a passion project. AEW, by only doing one match at a certain time most weeks, almost feels like they are under obligation to book women's wrestling. Otherwise, bloody Wokes will kick off if we don't. Those pesky bloody Wokes. What's on their show this week? Oh, God, we've got to put the birds on. Oh, God, we've got to put the birds. Why are the Wokes will kick off? That's the sense I get. Otherwise, there'll be more of it. And you think, well, that's a mouthful. Can you not jinglize that, Sid? Can you not jinglize what you perceive to be AEW's very cynical thought process here? Sure can. Don't worry, guys. Don't you worry. When the women come out to play, the main event ain't too far away. And that's the aim of the game. And the name of the game is, well, this is ladies' night, and I'm thinking, oh, what a night. Sorry. My children, one day you might see this. I did this to buy you things and to provide you with a comfortable life.
We're in late November. One day you'll understand what that means as a parent.
Sige, can you get out our guesses from the Dynamite preview? Because the general lethargy around AEW is now extended to the people who usually take care of the
Data.
What?
nothing from the Panda Blair
Oh,
himself,
no.
Adam Blair at Adam Wilson for Jose Palomares at the Ho 11 at the time of recording.
Hope you're both okay.
Hope you're both fine. But thankfully, it's a relatively easy week if I remember what our guesses were. But Sige, what did we in descending? What did we? Boom! Boom! What was the boom we dropped?
So in descending order, Michael Hamflett, 1 hour, 13 minutes and 45 seconds. Adam Wilborn, I don't know you from Adam. 1 hour, 20 flat. Michael Sidgwick, get your head out your ass because you suck at this game. You won it last year, and now you suck. 1 hour, 25 minutes, 56 seconds. You out of your mind, crowbar. NXT, if you're wondering where that non sequitur came from.
Hey, there's an appearance as well later on.
Wherever you get your podcasts. We've got a game.
No, there's a NXT star making an appearance on AEW Dynamite in a short while. I'll reveal it all in a bit. It was the first hour. So Hamflett wins again.
Default.
Coming for you.
All he's got to do is win every week between now until Christmas
Right,
to stand a
CM
chance.
All you gotta do.
8 for you for the year, 4 for you, Sige, and 12 for me.
Get my ass kicked.
Speaking of people getting their asses kicked, some poor bastard wearing Swerve Strickland's fur coat was attacked backstage after MVP went, "Come with me." And they were like, "There he is, there's Swerve." Turning around, it's just a guy wearing Swerve's coat and they hit him with a cane.
How
Seen
convenient.
before, haven't we? We've seen bald guys getting attacked. That's not Austin.
I mean, how convenient. How convenient was this?
Yeah.
It's not like if there's a tier for this sort of thing. You've got Eric Rowan finds a doppelganger as an alibi for the crime he's obviously committed, and dumbass baby faces Roman Reigns and Daniel Bryan, two of the big stars of modern wrestling history, can't snuff that out immediately. To like, that bald guy is Austin.
Yeah.
So that's the tier we're dealing with.
I really like
this. Is low down.
I like the Eric Angle one with Angle Lesnar.
That's legitimately great.
I thought it was class back
That's the
in
best
day.
version ever
Yeah.
of it.
Yeah.
This was just wildly convenient.
Mm-hmm. How's he got the fur coat?
Get him, boy.
How do you-
The Hurst thing did go with a brick-ass crowbar. This
Well,
week,
the
apparently.
idea is
Well, one was busy and another.
because Swerve Strickland has ascended to the main event and in fact has been preparing for that role his entire life, he's probably invested in a pretty expensive coat, an iconic coat. He looked like this dude, like, you know, those guys who got the Scorpion jacket because they saw Drive.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think I'm sitting close to one, I think.
Have you got one?
I may have looked into it. No, I haven't got one, but I did enjoy the thread that
it's
used
one of those.
to be.
It's one of those where you're like, I can't. I'd love to.
Yeah.
You're not Ryan Gosling.
did go around with a toothpick in for quite some time after that.
No, you didn't.
No, I didn't. On nights out, if there was like in it bar, I'd be like, "Look at me, I'm what's his name from Drive."
Anyway, this was pretty dumb.
Yeah.
Pretty dumb. You know what?
I did like the thought process of you boy. Here's a jacket. Well, thanks, Mr. Swerve. Guess nothing bad's going to come from. Oh God, I'm on my ribs.
We've talked before about the thing that AEW should implement when sort of shaping its creative. The whiteboard/chalkboard and the rules that they should write down and adhere to at all times. one of those things should be, is this thing that we have booked a really dumb cliche of wrestling just being wrestling because it's kind of inherently stupid and does it have to be anymore? It wasn't for a little while there on AEW. It's a pretty long rule, pretty convoluted, but be that as it may, that's the rule.
Long whiteboard.
Yeah.
And if it's, this is a bit stupid and we shouldn't do it just because wrestling thinks it can get away with it, right? Let's not do it then.
Yeah. We get a great video package for Jay Watt versus Hangman Page, Full Gear.
Great. Tony Khan.
But just a fun hype thing. It was going to make him tap out, he says. And then it's time for Bobby Lashley's in-ring debut for AEW against Joe Keys and Cheeseburger, which you mentioned was a...
It's just an AEW deep cut. It's like Pack Fighting Gravity. There's
remember me? I remember you.
A much memed
Forget me not.
That was it.
image of Bobby Lashley, one of his first feuds.
No, it wasn't.
No, it's funny when you do it.
Thank you.
And that's what this was. Like, there's that image of him staring down the cheeseburgers from when he was feuding with Simon Dean.
He's a local cheeseburger.
You know,
maybe
like
it was an additional detail.
popular cult figure cheeseburger, I think.
You got a pop.
Yeah.
So-
Joe, I don't know anything about Joe Keys. Other than this is a joke. I don't even think this was that bad. I just thought it was kind of lame.
Lashley launched Cheeseburger over the top, dropped them both with a flatliner DDT combo, mows down Cheeseburger, hits the Dominator. Keys breaks the count. They fight him. It gets some offense in briefly, and then Bobby, enough of that. Flattens Keys with a spine buster. Spear, hurt lock. Keys is out. Nothing really to say about this, like you say.
Well, it's a problem. There should be loads of things to say about Bobby Lashley's first match in AEW. There should be loads of things to say. Why did they even bother doing this? This was, I don't want to say a catastrophe. There's no catastrophes in AEW anymore. Just another cut, another cut, another cut, another cut. This is so dumb and so pointless. Like, they cannot get the presentation of their big characters right. So, Swerve, Hangman, I think, are exceptions, really. Yeah. The idea that Bobby Lashley should have appeared, kicked someone's ass, not shown a tiny bit of weakness, not even shown off his body. I mean, I wanted to see the body, and I complained that we didn't see the body, but that was a good thing. We should have seen that body and that physique in an AEW ring at Full Gear. Look, here, I don't want to invoke his name or the person who booked this run because of, what they've been accused of, but it's the nearest example that comes to my head. What if in April 2012, before Extreme Rules, you have Brock Lesnar beating up two job guys and then taking an AA? It would be stupid. You want to preserve, you kind of have this idea forever. Lashley's probably at some point going to lose, or he's going to sell moves. Ahead of the pay-per-view, you want to preserve the idea of this totally invincible, special force of nature that if you want to catch a glimpse of him in that physique, in a competitive match, this prize-fighting, all-business guy, you have to pay $50 for it, asshole.
Yeah.
What the were they doing here? The Dominator looked awesome. Elsewhere, there was a Beal spot that didn't look good. Lashley's spear's never amazing. Dominator looked amazing. That was the one good thing I could think of. This was so unnecessary. Why did he have to take the swerve stomp?
Yeah.
Do you want to get in the post-match, Pierce match quickly?
Pierce match.
All right, Ashington.
Swerve Strickland's music hits, but there's just Prince Nana with a chair. Shelton Benjamin goes after him, chases Nana to the back. Swerve's been hiding under the ring. He jumps Lashley from behind again with that chain. Drops MVP. Gets rid of Benjamin. Gets rid of Benjamin as he's running back. Hits a house call. Hits a swerve stomp and bails as the Hurt Syndicate just stare at him from the ring.
I mean, I think he's losing on Saturday, and this is a bit of business playing out where it's like,
I'm not
I
8 years old.
I outsmarted you, and I hit you with my finish. He's getting his in. He's a main eventer now. You have to play the games. It's wrestling. It's lame. It shouldn't be this way, but it is. He's getting his in because he's going to get beat on Saturday, and it's another high profile.
We don't
loss.
know that. It could just be Tony Khan's dumbass idea.
Could be. But I mean, we'd be confident he's losing anyway, right?
Yeah.
Like, so
Maybe this is probably a bit of negotiation.
Yeah.
We don't know for sure, but just inferring.
And fine, because wrestling does that. I wouldn't have been totally opposed to the squash, I don't think, actually, but I would have wanted a week's worth of advertisement, and I would have wanted the squash to play better than it did. That's my take on this. I don't actually mind, like,
the promotion was pathetic here.
Really, really, like, unacceptable promotion of your top star. Like, that's how you other people, that's how you normalise them. AEW's got a massive problem with that as it is. We are at, I'll make another comparison to a rubbish time, we are at Cody wrestling The Miz on Raw and everybody going, there it is, there's the week, you just got sucked into the WWE sludge and you're never getting out. We are absolutely in that with AEW, and we keep seeing it happen. And you read an interview with Ricochet where he's like, I want to actually be a difference maker this time. And you're like, I hope you really believe that and you fight for it, because this is currently not the company set up to support that in anyone. Right?
I mean, yeah, they could get this right on the night of Full Gear. They could, every week thereafter, get this right. The absolute last thing you want to do when you're really up against it with the critics, with the houses, with pretty much everything, is make Swerve Strickland, of all people, one of your few success stories in 2024, look like a bit of a bitch in terms of the character.
Dennis the Menace week for a minute.
Yeah, and normalise Bobby Lashley. Are you joking? You're just handing the nuclear codes to the people who are a bit fed up with all of this. Like, Hamlet makes it, if you're going to do the squash before Full Gear, which I wouldn't have done, you want that, I hate to say that example, but you know, that Lesnar Extreme Rules 2012 effect of someone just walks right in because look at them. Why wouldn't they, you know? Straight into a position because look at them. You have to advertise their matches, and that's bare minimum stuff. Who is in that room not putting their hands up and saying a completely unnecessary waste this? Do not do it.
Have they asked for it? As you know, we never know if like Lashley might have asked for it to shake the rust off, but then get told no, mate. Like, work the rust off in a gym somewhere. And
well, what was this going to do for his cardio? Nothing.
You know what I mean? Like speculation to try and explain away the like bewildering lack of not promoting Bobby Lashley's
I know
first
they
match.
say
Like,
you can do practice matches and train as hard as you can. When you get in the ring with the people there in a back and forth cannon match, there's nothing like it. You can't prepare for it. Surely doing 10 minutes in a practice ring is better than a squash for your cardio, your rust. And this is absolutely, I couldn't believe what I was seeing. And then again, I kind of could at the same time.
Renee Paquette is backstage with the women's champion Mariah May and Mina Shirakawa. They're finally having their Champagne Championship celebration at Full Gear. They're going to be teaming up on Rampage. May says no champion deserves a celebration more than her. She takes and makes it shine. Anytime, anywhere, you hold the women's title or you die. Shirakawa said she'll give May the celebration she deserves. Everyone wanted Mina back, and she's here for Mariah. And they start dancing to end the segment. So.
you like this one again?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Really enjoyed
Was that
this.
the problem with the soundboard? Or?
No, just excited for the Champagne Championship celebration. Yeah. And Tony Storm's retired from wrestling today.
Awful timing considering she's about to have a celebration. Thought she'd have wanted to be involved in the mix there, but I guess not.
We might do a get the table on a career retrospective. It's a good bit.
Yeah,
She's always got great bits.
I was saying to Wilbur, that video where she's like, when she loses at Wembley, she went off into the night and was never seen again. Then she lost in Japan and went off into the night and just kept doing it, never seen again.
Really good bit.
She's so great.
She's
the
great.
ace of this frigging division.
Mariah May, again, like very much quietly having a good title reign.
Finally,
After a pretty iffy start.
Yeah.
to finally get into the celebration.
Yeah.
We all know what that's presumably leading to. What followed that was Darby Allin versus Claudio Castagnoli.
Oh my God.
That was just Claudio chucking him around, to be perfectly honest. Darby Allin uses his speed to avoid him early on. Then he tried a coffin drop off the top, and Castagnoli caught him and just chucked him into the barricades.
Looked awesome as well.
He uppercut him into the crowd, and then does that great spot
Oh my God.
again for walking up the ring steps with Darby Allin in a vertical suplex position. Slams him into the ring to take us to a break. When we come,
Buster.
Yeah.
Love that. There's enough of them these days.
Blanchard you see as a finisher sometimes. Is Tully Blanchard? Yeah.
I think so.
Claudio's dominating again, gets Darby Allin gets gorilla press back inside, but sweeps the leg out using the ring apron, hits some dives, nearly hits the front row doing those dives. They go back in. Darby wants a coffin drop. But Castagnoli crotched him and hit an avalanche gut wrench suplex for 2. He also hit a series of uppercuts and punches to the ribs. Darby Allin collapses. Big boot sends him outside. He hits a giant swing into the steel steps.
Oh my god.
And then just throws Darby Allin right over the announce table. He clears off the table, climbs it, and then gorilla presses Darby Allin over his head into like the ring attendance area with the table. Everything just explodes in there.
Friggin' take note, Ridge Holland and Riley Osborne. Like, that's what how you do this.
I'll never learn how to do that.
Darby Allin just beats the count at 9. So Claudio kills him with a lariat and beats him 1, 2, 3.
The idea of Ridge Holland going, be more like Castagnoli. Knee chance, pal.
Any derbies in the room?
This is the absolute highlight of the show. I loved everything about it. Wish it was hotter. Wish it was louder, but we are where we are. I couldn't have enjoyed this more. And I've one of the things that's really annoying me about AEW right now is the cool MJF thing has to go to World's End. This Moxley thing, which I fundamentally dislike AEW being this entity that drives the storylines forward. I've hated the Copeland, Harwood, Raw speeches. You know, I'm over it. But you know, this is it for your medium-term future. And that sort of informs my level of hype and anticipation before the shows even unfold as these sort of flat experiences. This gave me that elusive bit of hope. I tweeted this. The mega fans hopefully will forgive me. It bears repeating here. It's just as well that they are building around Darby Allin because he is almost like, he's kind of fail-proof, I would say, in that he can lose matches the right way because he's amazing. He might even be on this genius list. He's certainly an honorable mention. He puts his matches together brilliantly every single time. You think it's real in the moment because look at the bumps that he takes. He wrestles in such a savvy way that I love the little exchanges at the very start of this where it's like, you're a better wrestler than Claudio in terms of your technique and your ability.
I love it when he unleashes the amateur stuff.
When he unleashes all this stuff and he's so fast and so agile and so quick and he can use Claudio's immense strength against him. Like, that just sort of like organically evokes that beast, that nasty bully and that human horse out of Claudio, and he gets killed in the best way possible because it's Darby, and he fights back into it, and then he can't, and then he takes that bump on the table, and the count-out tease is perfect because I would have bought that as the finish. They
put to bed because of the drape thing that was in. Night Darby.
Look, he's a great visual storyteller.
Yeah, it's good.
They did that very much on purpose. It looked like a goddamn body bag. Put him in a body bag, yeah! And then he looks dead. It's great bit of visual storytelling. And then he beats the count, but it was just a noble last stand. That's how you do it, Malachi. And then he gets the lariat, and 1, 2, 3, clean as a mother whistle. He loses. And guess what? I think he's a badass for going out like that because I'm 38, I'm 39. We're all in our 30s.
We're all in our 30s.
I'm 39 years old. And I am, it should be mentioned, the target audience. I'm not bitching about John Cena winning in 2009, even though I did back then. I've since matured and realized, you should have just watched Ring of Honor. Oh, great, Davey Richards is going 42 minutes. The business is goddamn broken anyway. I'm the target audience.
Yeah.
I am the target audience. I should be allowed to say, maybe I shouldn't be. Maybe they should go more youthful than me. They're not. So we are where we are.
I mean, they're trying to bring the boom.
They are trying to bring the boom.
I'm younger than you are, and I've got the youth audience got very excited in a minute. So
You're the youth audience
Yeah.
on this podcast.
big TikToker, me.
But what I'm saying here is that I don't go, what a loser, he lost.
No.
Yeah.
Because I'm 38, I know how it works, and you can, like, Sting in that Players Tribune article when it's ironic considering he went 100% in AEW, but he said you've got to lose. There's a way to lose, and you get even more over.
Yeah.
Like, Darby's the absolute king of it. I do not ever want to see Darby Allin get cheated out of something until it's the right time anyway, and then it'll really stings. It's like, who's going to win that one?
They're the most secure wrestlers, and you respect them more as people for it.
I absolutely think Darby Allin is absolutely fantastic at what he does. This match was a brief highlight of an otherwise pretty bleak show. It gives me hope for the future because Darby Allin can lose in the right way, so I don't necessarily think, there's going to be loads of rubbish, crappy, corny finishes because he's got to lose the big ones for a while, but he can do it in the right way, so that's perfect. He always stays over, perfect. And what's more about Darby is that he is involved in, he's done car angles before. He's been dragged in a body bag out of an arena by Team Taz. But guess what? He's Darby. He's sort of like Teflon to that sort of thing. In fact, you don't do any of that bollocks and make it look fake with anybody else, because you could have Darby at some point, and they will do this again, chained to the back of that Death Rider's truck and dragged out into the arena. They can just copy and paste that beat. And because Darby commits to these physical angles, maybe he shouldn't, but he does. It's like, it's not Chris Statlander going, and then 10 seconds later, 100 feet away, there's a car, where it just looks fake and your intelligence is insulted. Darby Allin, if they want to go heightened with this, and they will, it's AEW, I've learned my lesson. Good news, Darby will make it great.
Yeah. Yeah, like not a lot to add here other than I was thinking during this, because it feels like something we're highlighting every week when we're covering AEW at the moment. You know how when we did the Raw review, I think it was, and I was like, odd comparison, but like Dominic Mysterio was reminding me of how like The Rock was chewing scenery in The Nation can kind of from underneath Farouk, and it was looking inevitable. Claudio's version of that is kicking out of people, but he's doing it with John Moxley. And like it's not with funny faces, it's with like the visual beatdowns, the memories that I've currently got of the Death Riders are rooted in Claudio.
Yeah, he's amazing.
He's stealing.
I like him more as this version than when he was like Ring of Honor World Champion.
Yep. He's a star of the act, and what's good as well, this is really good booking because you delay the fact that, Darby's going to win the title. You delay that. You do it in a way that feels honest and that feels like, no, not this time. And I want to see it. How do you now beat Claudio? Let alone how do you get back to Moxley? And now Claudio just feels like a monster who can actually win matches. He's always been this sort of 50-50, win some, lose some. The matches are always good, dude, Claudio. And you'd like to see it because he's Claudio. Now he's got an edge. Now he's got credibility. This is the best thing by miles on AEW TV since, I don't know, the last time the Young Bucks had a match.
It's like the mountain in Game of Thrones. Like a work rate heater.
Yeah.
what a gift of a role that is for John Moxley to have.
Yeah. Renee's backstage with Private Party. They talk about their four-way title match at Full Gear. Zayn Quen say the odds are stacked against them. They've always been that way, even when they fought the Young Bucks. And then here comes Big Boom! AJ and Big Justice. But they're not out yet. They've got an announcement next. Before that, MJF pulls up to his building and all that, and there's someone asking for change, and he throws it and he go and fetch it.
I popped it there. I'm a dickhead, really.
Yeah, me too. He brings up Roderick Strong's alcoholic parents, his mother shooting his father in front of him, how traumatizing that must have felt. Trauma is an overwhelming sense of powerlessness, while healing is a sense of being given power and supported. That's why Strong does anything for Adam Cole. He makes him feel all the things he lacks. Just like he did to MJF, Cole's a mirage, a fraud, a liar. But he feels deep down in that deep, feeble frame of his that Cole cares about Strong. He's happy Strong won, and he's going to force Cole to watch him suffer. Strong's white trash upbringing is where MJF will send him right back to where he belongs, the trailer park. And after MJF is done with him, Strong will wish his mother didn't shoot his father, but instead shoot him.
Can I praise this before we get to the pretty rubbish response?
Do you want to do them concurrently? Like back to back feels not nicer. I know because they were a bit separated with the boom.
Yeah, Strong firing back.
Yeah. But yeah, tell us your thoughts on this first.
Yeah. So, better than the Lair.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, far better, yeah.
Far better than the Lair, and I'm going to tell you why. Even though it was a little bit hidden camera for my tastes, a little bit invisible camera for my tastes, right? The Lair, I do not believe that MGF either lives in that room or would even find somewhere like that when he's shooting a movie. You know what I mean? There was a big 14th century book on there. What was that? You know what I mean?
Big book of evil plans.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And there's red wine, which is the drink of the evil.
Yeah.
Christmassy drink, red wine for me.
I do I just love a red. It's almost so nice that I just stay away from it. It's my regular drink. I pair it with meals and have it at Christmas because you don't even have to get it out of the fridge.
Yeah, same.
You don't even have to put it in the fridge. Just room temperature. The wine drinkers I know just do it too much, right? So I'm always been a bit frightened of wine.
I'm frightened of wine, yeah.
Yeah.
Looks too easy to become dependent on it.
Smash.
Yeah, it's a smash.
I know wine drinkers and they do it too much, right? Anyway, I can believe, using headcanon, that MJF has went, right, what am I doing this week? I have to promote my match with Roderick Strong, right? I'm not going to the arena, I can't be asked, because they've built that with is contractually obligated to appear in front of the fans who he hates. So he's like, right, I've got an idea, get your camera crew, we'll go here. He wanted to get in the head and taunt and belittle, because he's a prick and he enjoys it, and that's half the point of being a heel, if not most of it. I want to drive to this, sort of unspecified hole to remind Roddy Strong of his really sort of severe upbringing, just to be an arsehole about it and to rub his face in it. I can buy the location. Thought the gag with the homeless guy, I'm a dickhead, sorry, I popped, I thought it was funny. So I got all of this. If he's going to do, and this is MJF, he is going to do it. If he's going to do that extra step beyond just being in the ring and cutting a promo, which I think he could really do with doing more often to make these things feel a bit more special and just less contrived. He's always had that, MJF. This was one of the better versions of it. He doesn't need this stuff, I don't think, half the time. I think he's so magnetic that if he strips it back a little bit, I think that would be to his benefit. But this is a good detail that I could buy the character doing.
It's almost like, and they've obviously filmed a lot in advance, and that means fair play. They've actually thought the story all the way through with not having this access to MJF.
Should have just done the match full gear, but that's by the by.
I've done it, just delay it until he's around. But nonetheless, they've obviously filmed the last stuff the one day and then this. I can sort of reconcile it in my head that now that his plan has worked and he's kind of like kept Adam Cole away and I'm fighting Roddy Strong. He won my little challenge. What can I do to really neg him for no reason and then just turn it up to 1 million? Not just like, I'm going to beat you, you're a loser, you're always second to Adam Cole. No. I'm going to go the darkest possible route for what is otherwise just a kind of a throwaway match for me. And I can sort of reconcile that, and I quite like that.
Roddy and the Kingdom came out following this to talk to Tony Schiavone. Roddy saying he hadn't slept a wink since last Wednesday. He feels like a kid on Christmas as he finally gets his hands on Max.
God,
is he supposed to be ashamed?
Damn it.
He's supposed to be ashamed of his childhood, his parents. Max made him feel like he was in elementary school again. Shouldn't feel sorry for him. If you want to break the cycle, you have to earn it, which he's done since he was a little kid. Max has been spoon-fed everything. When things don't go MJF's way, he throws a tantrum until he gets it. Strong wants MJF to look in the mirror and realize at Full Gear he'll pay for all those sins, every chop, punch, elbow, and backbreaker. Strong will sleep well knowing he broke MJF's back and made him humble.
Where's the fire, mate? Where's the fire? I'm usually AEW memory main. I've got a pretty good memory for a lot of things AEW. Virtually everything Undisputed Era-y. Not really. Not really. That's been a bit of a, misstep after misstep after misfortune, Because Roddy Strong was a babyface for a long time. Maybe a win some, lose some babyface, but has anyone really got at him for this upbringing in AEW, on AEW television?
Not that I can.
Because Bobby Roode did it, obviously, in NXT. I remember that vividly.
Yeah. There was an online version of something. I feel like he sat down with Renee or... So I remember once this came up in AEW lore, I cannot remember for the life of me who it came. It's certainly not something that I think they delved deep into on Dynamite.
Either way, I don't think Roddy Strong, you're promoting a fight. I don't think you should have done I'm actually over that, I'm healed, and he can't really, sticks and stones may break my bones. That sort of, show some fire. The only redeemable part of this promo, off mic, he started getting that sort of jock, intense, what people like about Roderick Strong, off mic, down the lens, a bit of fire. Why don't you apply that to the promo that you are cutting? I just thought this was...
Offense only works if you sell it, and he didn't sell it. No. So, you waste your time, actually, so I'm not even bothered. So 1-0 with me, if anything. Just cost yourself that dollar you threw at that homeless man. So joke's on you.
Heel says something unconscionable to get under the skin of the babyface. Babyface vows bloody vengeance with incredibly cool threats.
Yeah.
Is that not the way they should have gone?
Yeah. Even if you're trying to do the above it all bit, which in itself is a babyface thing, you then kind of reveal that,
No. And he did it, I guess, off mic, but it just wasn't good enough.
Well, if you want an example of when someone's been wronged by a heel and they're now fired up to get their vengeance at Full Gear, we'll go to what happened just before the Roderick Strong promo, because Renee Paquette is back there with big boom, AJ, a big justice. They talk about it's 20 years in the making, and he said it might have been 20 years, but it all started for me when QT threw the double chocolate cookies. I got a simple strategy, bring a boom, and he's got a special announcement when he rings QT's bell and power bombs him through the ring. There's only one guy who wants
Power
ringing
boom.
them. Yeah, boom, ringing the bell when he pins QT Marshall at Full Gear, and Big Justice says, "My best friend, the Rizzler." And they got one strategy: bring the boom. I have no idea who these people are.
I told you that told you what his finish is.
Yeah.
So now, when you see him go to the power boom position, you're going to go, "Oh, the finish! I'm going to get up for this. It's the finish." Told you the date.
Yeah.
Of the goddamn
Said where they
show.
were.
Said where they
Explore
were.
the personal issue. Like, put over that I've got somebody else to come. This isn't even the whole deal. Somebody else is coming. They can go.
Like, you get a promo.
Did that Times Square one where he did the date of the show, why he was angry at QT Marshall, what he wanted to achieve, and I'll see you there. Fans buy tickets.
The
It was
Louis Theroux
Hit the
promo.
catchphrase.
yeah, you've nailed every single the Louis Theroux thing.
1 minute.
of the night.
1 minute of the show.
Yeah.
That was it.
It's the best promo of the night. You got little Marks bitching about how it's not real wrestling. This shit.
What are these?
Jot that down.
What are these doing wrong? Genuinely, right? It's going on the pre-show. This is the first and only time they're probably ever going to be on
They've
Dynamite.
curated this so carefully that it's almost criticism proof for what it's designed to do. Attract more eyeballs to your flattening, declining product. This is a staple of pro wrestling for years and years and years. They've tucked it away as best they possibly could.
Will you have been on there, Jimmy Fallon? Like, just boom, boom. Big sadness is there.
I love it calling him Big Sadness. Pops me every
The Rizzler's
time.
the over one. Like, I don't see a big problem with this at all. And then you see that Rampage clip and everybody hates them. It's like, he's gone and got cookies printed on his tights. Come on.
Felt sorry for him. What was he tweeting?
I was saying, boo.
Then we see footage from Collision, which I hadn't had a chance to catch up on, unfortunately. Jack Perry.
Unfortunately, suck my gag.
Dinosaur, mate. Dinosaur, mate. Dinosaur, mate. Dinosaur, mate. Yeah.
Jack Perry, Daddy Magic. Daniel Garcia. Daniel Garcia got revenge by tying Jack Perry to the hood of his bus.
Not every wrong Christmas
Hang
dinner.
on. Is there like a minimum duration for a single?
There must be.
Dinosaur.
We can go hit it.
Shh. Don't get in the way. You're like the DJ talking over the music.
Dinosaur.
Shut the up, mate.
We've really got really short on time before he has to
Okay.
leave.
Sorry. I'll just go.
So Jack Perry tied to his bus.
Sorry, mate.
And then the reveal, Matt Menard, Daddy Magic says, I got some footage to show you, by the way. And it's Jack Perry tied to a chair. Daniel Garcia dumps some water. Hey, wake up. Jack Perry says, you're just like me. Garcia, all I want to do is wrestle. You're trying to attack Daddy Magic and all that. You've got to pay for it. Perry says, everyone has to make sacrifices. Garcia says, I'll never go where you've gone. Perry spat in his face and started laughing. Tells Daddy Magic, who's filming all this, get out of my face. Garcia comes back with one of the trio from NXT, not Brick or Ass, it's Crowbar, smashes the scapegoat bus
Get out
up.
of your f***ing mind, Crowbar. I'm working Wednesday, ass.
Right.
NXT, wherever you get your podcast.
Smashes up the scapegoat bus, and Jack Perry just goes, is that it? And Daniel Garcia leaves.
There's one of these every week now on Dynamite. There's one every week where you're like, well, gonna have to rip the piss out of this.
A lame ass segment every single week. I think the idea is, if you're going to be generous, the idea is, does Garcia really have the heart to be this dude? And might you have this sort of, sojourn with the Death Riders before realizing his true identity? And how much does he want this, or how much can he get it all? This was an execution, one of the lamest things I've seen out of AEW in ages, and I'm not even high on the promotion. The idea that there were badasses in there, it's total ick, cringe, try hard, cringe. I wanted to peel my own skin off when I watched this. I just couldn't live in it. Like, these people are not cool. They're not edgy. They're not badasses. The stakes are so, like, they're trying so hard, and I hated it so much. Am I wrong?
No.
Like, it's just so...
It was a kidnapping. It was a kidnapping and a crowbar attack, and the heel was right, and it was in a 2-on-1 disadvantage, and then it cuts back to the building where one of them's in the commentary table, and Tony Excalibur like, well, coming up next is the wrestling. Like, nobody's
Also,
like,
is Jack Perry making it to full gear because they just left him tied to a chair?
it's like,
How did he get out?
Yeah. Where's that then? Like, where'd you take him? None of that. Just like, well, back to action.
And another layer of how awful this was, Excalibur was like, yeah, well, it went out the range of our TV cameras or something. So you've got the footage, Daddy Magic, let's show it. And it's like, well, he's got the best phone in the world. Or he just guessed that he was going to get kidnapped and that he would win the kidnapping by kidnapping Jack Perry in response to his own kidnapping, because he is taking with him, presumably, some pretty good audio equipment.
Yeah.
Some
We
boom
bring
mics.
the boom, Mike.
We'll bring the boom mic and then, like, this wonderful camera. That's better than any phone that's ever been captured in. Like, this is absolutely
It's real bad.
It was. Yeah, it really was.
And I didn't think, how do you make Daniel Garcia? It's getting to that WWE thing now of, how do you make this person seem uncool? Like Daniel Garcia.
I didn't sound real delivering these lines at all.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's the best promo, but, you know, there's a way to present him in a way that it doesn't have to do that so often. Like early hook.
I know why they're doing it.
He's like got that early hook aura and looks and youth,
Yeah.
but a better wrestler, so it works. And then they've still botched him beyond belief.
I get why you're saying why they did it, but the moment he like smash your bus up, Jack Perry's like, oh, not bothered.
That's it. Malachi Jack over there. Like, he does it all the time, doesn't he? Maybe that's what I wanted you to do. Like, hands tied behind his back. You fell right into my trap.
Pathetic, you little bitch.
Yeah. Like, kill me then, because then I win somehow. Like, he's doing this every week now. Like,
Pathetic.
Time for a contract signing. Jericho and Tomohiro Ishii are randomly in the locker room for some reason to sign this contract.
the table in front of the like very NXT backstage.
I thought, I presume Jericho couldn't make it this week. They're doing some Fozzy things, so they've had to film this and just gone, oh, bollocks. Jericho's got to leave in 5 minutes. Right. So there's backstage in the locker room, a contract. It's a contract for the title match for next week. And Jericho does the whole, I'm not signing this until my lawyers have checked it over. And she's like, we already sent it to you. And he goes, I'll just go and take it to my lawyers. And he leaves, and there's a big picture of his face. And he's like, look how handsome this bastard. And then you see Ishii just stalking him. And then he just keeps walking and trying to get away faster and chucking things in his way and chucking people in his way.
It's quite funny, that.
I like this.
Yeah.
Quite funny, that.
And he's walking's getting quicker and quicker and quicker. And he gets down through the stands into the ring. He says, I would sign this, Tomohiro, but I haven't got a pen. And Ishii pulls out a pen. Jericho signs it, stalls a bit, and then in comes Brian Keith and Big Bill to attack Ishii. He goes to stab Ishii with a pen, but Mark Briscoe and Rocky Romero make the save. Romero hit a big dive. Ishii sent Bill to the floor. Brian Keith gets hit with a J Driller. Jericho gets hit with a sheer drop brainbuster, and Ishii signs the contract. The match is official for next week.
I thought it was a really funny, cute idea. The execution of which, when it got to the idea, was really fun. Of like Jericho's facials were great, Ishii's facial was great, and that was the joke, and that was the point of like, oh God, he's coming to get me.
Yeah.
That was a really inspired bit, an elusive bit of proper good AEW tier creativity. Every detail matters, however. Like, they invited me to laugh at it from the start, so I can't give it unqualified praise. The idea of them just sat in a locker room just removes all pageantry and spectacle and stakes and seriousness from the idea of a big title fight. What they should have done instead was have Renee Paquette sort of, don't advertise a contract signing, okay? Have Renee Paquette just out of the blue run to Jericho and go, there's a problem with the title match with Ishii. You haven't signed your contract yet. And Jericho then says, oh, yeah, it's not that I don't want the match. It's that my legal team haven't seen it yet. And then Renee goes, well, we sent it. He goes, yeah, whatever. Then you say Ishii. And then you do it.
Yeah.
The idea that there was a contract signing in a dressing room for the first time in wrestling history, completely trivializing the idea that it's a match. You've got to get these details right. Otherwise, the good work will just be evaporated.
It's a week of it as well, this, isn't it? But like another inspiring master plan. Beat him up.
Yeah.
I never see this coming. There's been a few of them this week.
Renee Paquette's back.
Write this plan down. Attack him.
Jumping.
Got it, boys.
Renee Paquette is backstage with Jamie Hayter, who was surprised by Julia Hart's vignette interrupting her last week. Never spoken to her, never wrestled her. She moves to the beat of her own drum, just like Hart does, says Hayter. But if she wants to have a chat, and then another vignette cuts in. Julia Hart's rebirth is complete. It's time to rebuild. She's more determined and dangerous than ever. She's shooting arrows. And you also see the arrows hitting like the old versions of Julia Hart, like the cheerleader version laid out on the football field. The voice of Brody King says she's the princess of the Black Throne, keeper of secrets. She's Julia Hart, and her heart grows harder. And an arrow hits her bullseye as you can hear Hart screaming as we fade to black.
I don't know who's going to win the eventual match, so I guess that's something. The vignettes are well produced for what they are. I don't like the idea of Brody King or to whoever hacking their mainframe so that this video of Julia Hart can just happen, you know? Just, again, it's this...
The firewalls on these mainframes in wrestling are terrible.
I know. It's just, how do these videos appear, you know? There's got to be a way to revolutionize or this radical idea to just make wrestling on TV less dumb. Because AEW, it's not working, them doing this.
Brody King's rang up like Bo Dallas. You got any mainframes? I got a couple of send you over.
Main event time, Orange Cassidy versus Wheeler Yuta. Yuta fires off a shotgun dropkick just before the bell. There's some near falls. Yuta wrenches at his ear. There's a seatbelt pin attempt from Cassidy for a 2. They fight to the outside. Yuta hit a brainbuster on the floor and expose the metal portion of the turnbuckle to send Cassidy's face into it and hitting a DDT on the apron to take us to a break. When we come back, Yuta bites Cassidy's forehead, obviously, considering what group he's part of. Cassidy comes back with a PK and a brainbuster for a near fall. He wants the orange punch, but Yuta countered into a snap German and an angle slam. Cassidy hits soul food and a Michinoku driver for 2. Yuta dodged an orange punch. Yuta countered a tilt-a-whirl into a leg trap tombstone for a near fall. He did it a couple of times, the hammer and anvil elbows that he paused.
Still got the best one in the group.
Yeah.
And I include Danielson in that.
He puts in cattle mutilation, but Cassidy gets to his feet on the rope. Oh, sorry, he gets his feet on the ropes. So Yuta grabs a chair, Cassidy ducks it, and rolls him up to get the flash 1, 2, 3.
Wild finish. Why did they do that? Did you get the sense, and I know going into it, it would have to be some kind of Herculean effort. Did you get the sense of, Jesus Christ, could Orange win? No. Could Orange win?
On Sunday.
Yeah. Should they maybe have attempted to do that? Maybe, yeah, probably trying to sell a pay-per-view. Could this have ever been accomplished by beating stable underling in a flash? Almost didn't steal one, but it wasn't like
trying to wave away the
decisively
first
beaten.
loss in it for the Death Riders. It's almost trying to wave it away. Ignore that. It was a flash win. Like
the whole point of this wasn't it meant to be, can you pull the trigger on Wheeler Yuta?
Yeah,
and you were saying yesterday he should go in and kick his ass to prove I'm really fired up.
It's a bit Drew and Randy, isn't it? Well, he only beat him with a backslide. He didn't hit him with the
yeah.
You know what I mean, didn't hit him with the orange punch or anything like that. You gotta
talk post match instead.
Just Yuta's entrance was real sad.
Real sad.
This is a main event act. I know it's Yuta.
They've tried with this as well. That's the thing.
It's a main event act. The whole last couple of months have been around this sort of thing. Here's a bit of proof of the pudding. I used to love those Dynamite main events when it was like, can you believe we're living in a world where a mainstream North American show's leading with, I don't know, 2020, a Sammy Guevara or an Orange Cassidy or like, just wouldn't be bold enough, WWE, ever.
Yeah.
And here's where we are. This is so cool. This is the opposite of that. You are actually trying and like failing. This is objective proof that your idea is not connecting.
Post match, Yuta can't believe it. Pac appears and drops Cassidy with a pump kick. Claudio, Marina Shafir, and Jon Moxley all come in. They duct tape Cassidy's hands in his pockets.
Excalibur, there is a problem with Excalibur. Sorry, mate. I know I've just stepped on your dick.
It's all right.
His credibility is coming into question. He cannot sell this kind of story. He can sell a match, an exciting match. He cannot sell this kind of story. As they were taping up Cassidy's hands, Excalibur was some absolutely insane waffle, said something to the effect of, that's a numbers advantage. No one can come out to help Orange Cassidy because, you know, even if you empty out the locker room, they've still got a numbers advantage. Well, where's John Silver with nunchucks for a start? And aren't there about 800 wrestlers in AEW? Like, what the are you talking about, X? I'm serious.
I can't believe Shivani said that.
I'm serious.
Dude.
This is
Dude.
just don't say anything. when a commentator tries to explain the lack of logic in wrestling, sometimes even I'm like this. Sometimes you just need a heat angle, you know?
So they beat him up. Cassidy does his...
It's big sadness. He's helping.
Cassidy does his little kicks, but Moxley
I love that.
nails him with a forearm, and they leave him and leave through the crowd, but here comes the conglomeration to the ring to cut him out of the tape. Cassidy gets up to his feet and puts his sunglasses on, puts his hand in his pockets. That was the end of the show.
This either made no sense or I personally failed to understand it.
I said to you, I was Krusty the Clown. What the hell was that? At the end of this?
Like, I don't get it. Moxley's too cryptic for his own good at this point. I'm fairly certain of that. I don't know what he wants out of Cassidy. This idea is the idea of, like, he's a cold-blooded snake, you know. Maybe he's even a sociopath, and I think he's going to kill Wheeler Yuta, actually. And then is the idea that Cassidy's like, no, I will simply best him in a wrestling match. You will not corrupt me, Malachi Black. And I'll beat you on my own terms because I'm not this charismatic leader, but I'm a good wrestler and I'll beat you like that. And I'm a good man as well. And I'll persevere because I'm a good baby face. And that's why I'll just stand up after the ass kicking. Is that the story, truthfully?
Yeah, that they were looking for something more epic feeling when he puts the glasses on and Moxley's face a little bit selling uncertainty. The better example of this was that Collision finish the other week when Moxley's about to hit the ring. I get to be a bastard now. Orange Cassidy music hits. He's like, next week maybe. And it was like a little bit of fear there in Moxley. I think they were going for that because of the physical distance between the two as well and how iconic Cassidy in the glasses and the pockets is supposed to be. Didn't work.
It didn't work.
It's Moxley telling the wrong story earlier on the night. Do you know what I mean? The promo didn't speak to this.
Yeah, well, maybe the idea was, oh no, he's not a sociopath. He's not a cold-blooded snake. He's a good guy who will fight till the last. I think, and I think just maybe shouldn't have killed Wheeler Yuta. It would have been out of character even to prove a point to Moxley. So maybe our fantasy booking was a bit rubbish. This just didn't land for what it was. I'm still confused by a lot of it, and ultimately, take away all those sort of like little subtle character details, if they even exist, to one side. It's Orange Cassidy going for the belt on the pay-per-view. He should be really beating Wheeler Yuta comprehensively, even if you want to do something with Yuta.
Yeah,
Wheeler Yuta shouldn't be expressing huge shock that he was beaten by the number one contender to the world title.
Yeah. Like, does this end with Garcia booting Yuta out of the group rather than them doing a long-standing thing with Moxley and Yuta? Like, I don't care. I don't care. Yeah, like, the reality is I don't care at the moment. Yeah.
Well, let us know your thoughts on that and all of AEW Dynamite in the comments section or on X at WhatCulture WWE. Watch, they can follow all three of us. You can follow Michael Hamflett at
Michael Hamflett.
Follow Michael Sidgwick at
M. Sidgwick.
Follow me at Adam Wilborn. Follow us all at WhatCulture WWE. And make sure you subscribe to WhatCulture Wrestling wherever you get your podcasts from for daily wrestling podcasts and on the YouTube channel. The best of the Collision cast coming your way later on today. But for now, the AEW Dynamite review. My thanks to Hamflett Sidgwick. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you soon.